Following Arsenal's gargantuan win at Stamford Bridge, it looks like Mikel Arteta has his eyes firmly set to the future. So let's find out today if he's targeting moves to the likes of Youri Tielemans, Jonathan David and Livramento. Could Eddie Nketiah remain at the club past this season? And how are the Gunners set to line up versus Man United on the weekend? Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Pals14. The vibes are back, the smiles are back, and just for this slight little moment as Arsenal fans can believe again for the future. What happens next is down to Arsenal Football Club, but as always, my friends, smash a like on the video if you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel if you are new, as we are now on the road to 90,000 subscribers, which is actually mental to hear, but you guys have made it happen, so let's keep it moving. And let's get into that Arsenal news, and starting off with Arsenal's latest transfer news. The win against Chelsea was amazing because it saw a lot of the Arsenal squad players and players that were almost seen as outcasts, your Nketiahs, your El Nenis, your Holdings, step up when they mattered the most. But make no mistake, if Arsenal want to reach the heights of the Man Cities, the Liverpools, this Arsenal squad still requires a mass amount of investment and improvements in the first team, with one of the main positions to address being central midfield, and starting off with Leicester City's Youri Tielemans. As in an interview given by Ben Jacobs of CBS Sports, he confirms that Arsenal are currently front runners to sign Youri Tielemans. Arsenal have met with Tielemans' agent on multiple occasions to discuss a possible move. They already know that he won't sign a new deal and could be available for as little as £25 million. Youri Tielemans is a very intriguing transfer. A lot of Arsenal fans see the quality on the ball and going forward see potential of a fantastic player in that final third, decisive with his passing, in behind, the through balls, the passing range. He has talent going forwards. But the main concern that a lot of Arsenal fans have is his defensive capabilities. Does Tielemans have the engine to go box to box, the defensive capacity to be reliable on the counter attack, and to help out Thomas Partey when the going gets tough? A lot of Arsenal fans have doubts over that and over the Belgian. But the most intriguing part about Tielemans is the fact that his contract is soon expiring, and for a price tag of just £25 million, quite a few people think it's a risk that's worth taking. First things first, that vital Premier League experience. If Arsenal were to sign Tielemans, he would not require time to adapt. On top of that, he's a full Belgium international, and when it comes to ball progression, passes into the final third, Tielemans excels in those categories. You add all that on top of the fact that he's now 24 years of age, soon to enter the peak of his powers. Potentially, Mikel Arteta and Edu Gaspar have identified Youri Tielemans and see potential for growth in terms of defensive side, and think that £25 million is a risk worth taking. Do you think Arsenal are worth taking the shots on Youri Tielemans? But in the same interview, Ben Jacobs also confirms that both Arteta and Edu Gaspar would love to bring Lille's Jonathan David to the Emirates Stadium. In total, he has scored 13 league goals this season. In the past, you've had his agent confirm that his client wants to move to the Premier League, and the player has also been spotted in the past wearing a Thierry Henry hoodie. I think David is a player that has the capacity to play almost as a false nine. His goal scoring isn't the best in the world, but in terms of pass completion rate, dribble success rates, that is where David ranks highest against the other top forwards around Europe. So I think if Arsenal want to sign Jonathan David, it is almost an improvement, a more physical improvement on Alexandre Lacazette. He's a player that I most certainly think Arsenal can afford and can sign and can attract. But most importantly is that false nine profile what Arsenal require, because in that last game, playing Eddie Nketiah as an outlet type of centre forward, it just gave us Arsenal fans a glimpse of how great this Arsenal attack can be once they have a physically capable runner in behind. Scoring only 13 league goals as well for the price tag of £40 million in League of all leagues, it isn't the most convincing. I do like Jonathan David, so what do you guys make of Jonathan David? And do you believe he should be one of Arsenal's top targets in the next transfer window? According to Gazzetta dello Sport in Italy, Arsenal are in the lead among Premier League clubs who are in the race to sign Inter Milan striker Lautaro Martinez. Lautaro Martinez is a player that Arsenal had confirmed interest in the last transfer window, as confirmed via the very reliable David Ornstein. But since then, they of course have sold Romelu Lukaku for a price tag of nearly £100 million. And in terms of Lautaro himself, he has signed a brand new contract extension until 2026. And this year, becoming more of Inter Milan's main striker, he has scored 15 goals in 29 Serie A appearances. And just like Jonathan David, Lautaro Martinez is a better version in terms of the false nine profile. Do I see Inter Milan selling him? Personally, I don't think so. According to Sky Sports in Italy, Arsenal have submitted an offer close to €30 million for Atletico Madrid's Alvaro Morata. to Arsenal. Of course, the player right now is playing for Juventus on loan from Atletico Madrid, but with them having signed Dusan Vlahovic, they're not going to exercise the option to buy him on a permanent transfer, meaning that he'll go back to Atletico at the end of the season and he'll be available for a brand new transfer. So with it being well known that Arsenal want to sign a brand new striker, I'm not surprised that we're seeing links to Alvaro Morata. Ultimately speaking, do I believe them? The answer is a big fat no. But what do you guys make of Alvaro Morata, and for the price tag of 30 million euros as a backup striker, would you take him at the Emirates? According to Adrian Kajumba of the Daily Mail, PSV's Cody Gakpo is a player that Arsenal have held talks over a summer move and is expected to cost between 30 to 40 million pounds. Now I understand why Arsenal want to sign Cody Gakpo. I see potential in the player, and the age factor he is right now, the potential, the goals, the assists, as a wide forward in a 4-3-3 as a left winger I could see him cooking, and also long term as a centre forward. I don't think it's an outlandish statement because I think he has the physical profile, the ball striking to be converted into a centre forward. But for 30 to 40 million pounds coming for the Eredivisie, I still have my concerns. As I've said so many times in the past, Memphis Depay, Steven Bergwijn, Hakim Ziyech, these are players excelling in the Eredivisie. They cost a decent amount of money. They came to the Premier League and they simply could not translate their numbers. But once again, you have another reliable reporter confirming that Arsenal have genuine interest in Cody Gakpo. So my question to you guys is, for 30 to 40 million pounds, do you think it's worth taking the risk on the Eredivisie superstar? But moving from attack to defence, what about Southampton's Tino Livramento? Well, according to Ben Jacobs, Livramento is a player that is also on Mikel Arteta's wish list. Well, Takehiro Tomiyasu also have a great player potentially, but has these long-term persistent calf issues that quite clearly Arsenal have massive worries about. But not just that, but also in terms of profile-wise. Tomiyasu came to Arsenal as a centre-back / inverted right-back, whereas Arsenal going forwards might require a bit more of an attacking right-back capable of going forwards, a bit like Tino Livramento. Having left Chelsea in the summer, linked to an Arsenal transfer, in his first full year in the Premier League with Southampton, the player has excelled, starting 24 games for what is a decent team in Southampton. It's taken Livramento no time to adapt to the Premier League, and he's showing his standard straight away. Looking at the age profile, the player profile, the potential, I would love to see Livramento at Arsenal, but there is one massive obstacle, and that is Chelsea Football Club. Who of course let Livramento go in the first place, a player they rated very highly, but in the process they put in a buyback clause worth 38 million pounds, which can be activated after 2023. But with Chelsea right now being in a bit of a transfer embargo without brand new owners, potentially gives Arsenal an opportunity to take advantage of. But when you're talking about young right backs, Arsenal also have a player in Brooke Norton-Coffey, very highly rated and of a similar age and profile. And with Arsenal looking to adapt to the right back side, do you think Livramento will be a decent signing for Arsenal Football Club? Okay, moving on to Arsenal versus Manchester United. Now this is going to be a gargantuan game at the Emirates Stadium, and thankfully it's a game that your boy has secured a ticket for, which means potentially if things go to plan, you guys might be treated with a matchday vlog as well as a 5 things you learned. But most importantly for Arsenal, it's a massive game in the race for the Champions League. Not only are Man United team also fighting for the top 4, but with this being the first game of the weekend, it gives Arsenal an opportunity to climb above Spurs and reclaim the 4th place and go 3 points clear potentially. When you then look into United's recent games, they're not in the best of form, losing 3 out of the last 5 games, and the last game being a 4-0 defeat against Liverpool at Anfield. Comparing that to Arsenal, we've won 2 games out of the last 5, and despite those 3 defeats, Arsenal were able to win their game in hand against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So both teams aren't in the best of forms, but most importantly, this is a game that needs no introduction. This game goes back to the playgrounds, to the streets. It's always a massive game in the footballing calendar, and I myself unfortunately have a brother who's a Man United fan. So even forgetting about the top 4 race, simply for the bragging rights alone, this is going to be gargantuan. And looking into the United team news, Raphael Varane and Scott McTominay have joined Cristiano Ronaldo back in training for Manchester United ahead of the trip to Arsenal on Saturday. Whereas Arsenal of course have welcomed back Takehiro Tomiyasu to full training with the first team. Tomiyasu for Arsenal is a massive boost that if he's fit and available will give Arsenal an advantage, but for United, Varane and Ronaldo, those are 2 massive players there and there. But it's also worth pointing out Paul Pogba, who walked off in the first half against Liverpool injured and is a massive doubt going into this game. But bringing it back to Arsenal, how exactly is Mikel Arteta going to line up? Well, I think we're going to see a 4-2-3-1 formation, with Aaron Ramsdale in goal and a back 4 of Takehiro Tomiyasu, Ben White, Gabriel and Nuno Tavares, a midfield pivot of Granit Xhaka and Mohamed Elneny, and a trio of Smith Rowe, Odegaard and Saka behind the striker in Eddie Nketiah. Ultimately, you have one change from the game against Chelsea. Out goes Rob Holding, Ben White moves back into the centre back, and in comes Takehiro Tomiyasu. I honestly believe that Tomiyasu could have played the game against Chelsea, but with him not being fully fit, I think Arteta chose not to risk him in that game to hopefully have him fit and available going into this game. But also going into the front line, Eddie Nketiah starting as Arsenal centre forward. I mean, a few weeks ago, no Arsenal fan would have said that, but after becoming Arsenal's first player to score 2 goals in a Premier League match against Chelsea since Robin van Persie's hat-trick in October 2011, Eddie Nketiah is starting to catch a bit of form, so I believe he will make it 3 starts in a row. In the last game, what we saw is Arsenal return to the basics, the 3-2 build-up phase, moving Xhaka back into central midfield, supporting Mo Elneny. It just gave Arsenal so much more control and compactness in the central midfield. And ultimately, it gave Arsenal the opportunity to drop back, sit back, counter-attack and hurt Chelsea with devastating effects. And as this tweet points out, that's the 2nd season in a row that Arteta has surrendered possession at Stamford Bridge, sat in a mid to low block and got goals from counter-attacking or Chelsea errors. It's his most underrated coaching quality. I expect to see Arsenal dominate the proceedings, but at the same time, I don't want to see Mikel Arteta once again overthink it. In the last game, it showed that if Arsenal return to the basics, go back to the 4-2-3-1, it can work for Arsenal and get us over the line. And ultimately, looking at this game, I understand that Man United are not in the best of form, but they're still in this top 4 race and the point gap isn't that massive, and they still have some top players on their day: Jadon Sancho, Bruno Fernandes, and also most importantly, they've got number 7 in Cristiano Ronaldo. But as always, my friends, talk to me about yourselves. What are your own thoughts going into this game? What are your match predictions? What are your predicted lineups? And do you believe Mikel Arteta's Arsenal will make it back-to-back wins? Okay, let's move on to the other Arsenal news today, and starting off with the man right now in the headlines, and that being Mr. Edward Nketiah, a player that is out of contract at the end of the season. According to Adrian Kajumba, Arsenal have not yet given up all hope of persuading Eddie Nketiah to stay. Arsenal accept they may not be able to compete with Nketiah's desire to play more regularly than he has, but a final decision is yet to be made, which has left them still hopeful. With Eddie Nketiah right now, he's catching form at the right time. Now, if he was to keep scoring goals and fire Arsenal to the Champions League, I think a lot of Arsenal fans would almost open their hearts and go, listen Eddie, you might deserve to stay at Arsenal. But as Mikel Arteta said after the Chelsea game, if there's one player I have been unfair with, it's Eddie Nketiah. He has given me every right to do something different, so if Eddie hasn't played more, it's my fault. I have missed something or I haven't had the courage. He showed me again how wrong I was. But can Eddie Nketiah prove the rest of the Arsenal fanbase wrong? What is your current stance on Eddie Nketiah out of contract at the end of the season? Do you believe that Arsenal should be keeping Eddie Nketiah? But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed as always. If you have, make sure to go down there, smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you would like to follow your boy on them social medias, then the links will be down below in the description. But that was all of the latest Arsenal news today, and a massive game on Saturday. The matchday vlog is pending. It is now over to Arsenal Football Club. Anyways, my friends, until then, take care of yourselves. See you later and in a bit.